76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And according to Forbes, 93% of business owners pay more than legally required to pay in income tax. And nearly 50% of all Americans have bad credit, but not you. At least not anymore. See, this is the School of Wealth, where you learn how to maximize your credit, minimize your taxes, and multiply your assets so you can create generational wealth. Hi, I'm Rondi Lambeth, certified FICO credit professional, author, speaker, and tax strategist. For the last 20 years, I've helped tens of thousands of Americans just like you take control of their money, fix their credit, wipe out their debt, cut their taxes by 50%, and multiply their assets. If you're ready to break free from the rat race and start building a life of freedom and abundance, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the School of Wealth. All right, welcome to another episode of School of Wealth. Today I have my good friend Joe Wargo in studio. Joe,
nice.
Welcome to the studio.
Appreciate it.
How was your drive all the way out here to the wilderness?
In Idaho, it's not much of a drive, but it's beautiful out here.
I was talking to a friend last night that lives in California, and I sent him a video of the backyard and the farm and the cows and stuff. And he's like, man, I couldn't live that far away from everything. Like, how long does it take to get to town? Like an hour? And I'm like, no, I can go to a steakhouse in about 10 minutes from now.
I was going to say, you're so close.
It's cool, though. We're all on 5-acre lots out here.
Yep.
So it looks like, and it feels like we're out in the middle of nowhere, but there's plenty of things around us.
They're actually building like crazy around here too. I mean, on the way in, there's like a whole area, all brand new restaurants and bars and
they just opened a new cigar and wine bar, and then there's a Chick-fil-A going in right by the Starbucks along with Panera, and then Lifetime Fitness. Yeah. They got half of it built, so that's coming in. So that have you ever been to a Lifetime Fitness?
Yeah.
So and then
the big news is out in Meridian on the way in between us.
Yeah.
Where I live and versus we lived in Punta Buc-ee's.
I saw that yesterday.
The Buc-ee's. And so anyone from the South, especially Texas, are going to go crazy. They're going to go apeshit over this because the Buc-ee's is like a cult tradition, right?
Yeah.
So
what was the square footage? Because
it's huge, right? So they usually
I think it was like 150,000 square feet. I mean, it was enormous what they're putting in there.
They usually put in about 80 to 120 gas pumps.
Yeah.
And they're usually, a lot cheaper than like 20 cents a gallon cheaper than most. But then the store itself is just amazing. So
yeah, that'll be fun there. That's going in
at for
Meridian and 84.
Yeah.
And I'll probably go to that gas station more often because once Highway 16 goes through or Highway 44 goes through, which is supposed to open, I think the end of this year or spring of next year, that goes all the way to 84. I won't have to go down Eagle Road. Which, you know what that's like.
That's going to save you.
Yeah.
That's the big commute in Idaho, right?
Busiest road in Idaho.
Yeah.
I was talking to Bryce Eddy. He's in my exotic car. So I'm part of an exotic car club. It's a lot like EO, but you have to own an exotic car to be part of it. And so we had a little drive last night, and they're putting in a big steakhouse in Eagle, $7 million build out.
Wow.
So, and doing a honky tonk bar and full dance club here in Eagle. So that'll be the third steakhouse. And then Anderson is building a steakhouse as well. Anderson Reserve.
Yep.
From Sweet. So they raise like 5,000 head of cattle a year. They used to provide all of McDonald's with their meat back in the 70s. So now they do grass-fed organic beef.
But you have your own grass-fed beef, right?
I know, that's why.
And I saw your freezers. All three of them. There's a lot of them, and I'm like, that's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you go to a steakhouse. And,
it's not as fun anymore going to the steakhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I actually had a good steak last night at Kaki's, which is a pizza place in Eagle. I had a Wagyu flank steak.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was actually really good. Well, thanks for coming all the way out. I know it's been a while.
For having me.
Yeah, it's been great to get you out here. So I don't think I ever asked you, where were you born? Where were you born and raised at?
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised in San Bruno, which is just right next to San Francisco, suburb of San Francisco.
Oh, from Northern California.
Right on the peninsula, yeah. So right near the San Francisco airport. I was born and raised there, sort of very blue collar, environment there. Most people are union workers and that, and went there through high school, and then left after high school, never came back really. So that's when I went in the military, and I knew it was a place I wanted to get out of, right? So deep in my blood, and if you look at my active profile, I have this entrepreneur spirit that I like leading and starting things and running businesses. And where I grew up, I was probably the only person out of my whole friend group that left with a 5 mile radius from where they were born.
Yeah.
Right. The majority of people born there, raised there. My father, for instance, hasn't lived more than 5 miles from the house he was born in. And so all I saw my friends, and they were just going to, after high school, was just sort of like become a plumber, become an electrician, just become a union worker somewhere. And that was your life until you can buy the house next door to your parents' house and take, rinse and repeat. And I knew that wasn't for me. I had to get out. And so for me, the military was a way to get out. It was my avenue. We didn't have money for college or anything like that. And so financially, I couldn't do that. So then I knew military was sort of my ticket. So
yeah, I think you and I have a similar story with, I couldn't afford to go to college, and I've always had some type of business, even since I was a little kid. You know, I remember when I was like 7 years old in downtown Boise, washing people's windshields for a quarter, trying to get money so I could get a little bit of food or something. So, but the military was good for me. But there's a lot of people that leave the military and start businesses. I think it's like it
sort of
just
like
makes
us,
sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really think it depends on who you are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that go in the military, and military makes a really great career for them, right? It really gives them direction, it really gives them focus, and it gives them something to really excel and continue growth, right? It's endless the growth you can do there. For me, when I went in the military, it was sort of funny because, I mean, I have an uncle who was he's a retired full bird special forces, and so he was sort of my inspiration, and I was talking with him about what to do in the military, and I went in, and it was probably the best thing I've ever done for myself. Right, it was a time in my life that I really needed discipline. I was coming from a very rough background, especially with drugs and alcohol as a kid, and just a lifestyle, right? And so to be able to get away from all that was important. I was blessed that I was able to be in a very unique small ops group that was only in Germany. So I was able to get out of the country even, which was fascinating for me. And I consider Germany like a second home. I was there for 4 years, and military was great. I mean, just the experience I had, what I did was very unique, sort of once in a lifetime type of thing. But I had that itch, and I knew it wasn't for me. And I think I told you the story where I had a commanding officer at the time, and at the end of the Cold War, when the wall fell down, it was the end of my job. And I had a choice to either, because of my MOS, what I did was very unique. There's only 3 different jobs they let me do in the whole military, regardless of branch. And none of them was appealing to me. Right. And so my commanding officer just looked me in the eye, and I had a side hustle in the military too. Right. Mm-hmm. And he just said, he goes, with his Southern Carolina accent, he said, "Wargo, you're too smart for this man's army. You got to get out," and I took his advice. And so I did it reverse. So I actually got out of the military, and because I took a couple college courses while I was in, and because I got now the Army College Fund at the time and the GI Bill, what they had, I went to college afterwards. Which is a little bit different. So, most of my college mates were always about 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And, but it made college very easy for me. So I went to Oregon State. My mom was living up in Oregon at the time. So I went to Oregon State University. And, for me, college was just, after coming out of the military discipline, especially in special ops, you look at it and you're like, these young kids have no discipline.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'd get an assignment, I'd just knock it out and be done.
Right.
Then I had all this time to go party, go do whatever I wanted to do. I had a side business at the time. I started silk screening business in college because I realized Oregon State was like 70-80% Greek fraternity and sorority.
Oh, wow.
And what do? They buy t-shirts every single week for something. So I went to a trade show, figured out how to make t-shirts, invested some of my GI Bill, which I wasn't supposed to do, but I bought some equipment for like $8,000 and set up in the fraternity house, the silk screening operation. And so I actually made more money in college than I was paying for college. Right. And so,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I sold the business after I left for more than what I paid for it. So I had this entrepreneurness in me no matter what, and so Yeah, college was fun. I went to Oregon State, and so I started after that. I started my entrepreneur journey.
And your main business now, tell me about that.
Yeah, so it started. So right out of college, I actually went to go work for a gentleman called Stephen Beshadi. He actually owns the Baltimore Ravens. So he was my business mentor.
Okay.
He's just at that point started a business. At that time, it was called Aerotech, and it grew into Allegis Group. I helped him start a division, which became its own company called Tech Systems. And we started doing that as it was more doing sales. So in college, I went and got a technical degree, computer science degree, and a speech communication degree. So what do you do with the liberal arts degree and it's the technical degree? You get in technical sales. All right. And so that's what I was doing. Sales was natural for me. It's very easy. And so Stephen taught me an awful lot about business and just how to sort of be an entrepreneur. He's a fascinating entrepreneur himself. And so I did that for a while, and then I realized I didn't like working for someone. I couldn't do this again. That itch kept hitting me. I can't work for someone else. So I started, left that company and started a small IT managed services business with engineers I pulled from that company. And we were sort of outsourcing small to mid-sized companies' networks and helping them sort of maintain and service them. And that about 2 years after that, I sold that to my partner. He had very good technical, right, and knew what he was doing. But again, he wasn't an entrepreneur and didn't really have vision. At the time, I knew wireless, and this is back in 2002. 2003 is when I started my company that I still own today, Alpha Mega Wireless, which is a wireless company. I knew back then that wireless was going to be the future. It was just inevitable in my mind. Wi-Fi wasn't even out yet. It just came out, 802.11b. It was like, people, home people were using a little bit, but no one even knew it was going to be a thing. And so I said, there's no way wireless is going to be the thing. And, everyone was like running fiber and pulling cables everywhere. And I'm like, the technology is going to get there. And so I started my company probably 10 years too premature, to be honest with you, but started it and did very well. I mean, did over $1 million in revenue the very first year and grew from there. And now I've had it now for 22 years. So, yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I first met you, what I heard you say, as in what I comprehended what you said, was that you built wireless cell phone towers. And I'm like, wow, towers, like, how do you get into that?
Yeah.
And now that I know a little bit more about what you do, is you do the Wi-Fi like at airports and cities, and the cell phone, you can connect different buildings and stuff together.
Yeah.
Right?
And so it's that business
more secure.
The prime focus of that business is really doing high bandwidth outdoor wireless, meaning point-to-point connections, microwave connections. So we build towers for a living. A lot of it's connecting buildings. So we do a lot of work for like city governments, counties, where we'll connect their buildings rather than running fiber to a building, which sometimes they just can't do, right? Or the cost is way too prohibitive. So we put point-to-point connections in between. That's the bulk of it. But we do indoor building stuff too on a large scale.
Yeah. I saw something yesterday on Instagram. I think it was yesterday that somebody just did the longest Wi-Fi signal or something, where they were able to send it like 500 miles. I mean, and I don't remember what it was. So next time I see it, if it pops up again, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But it was this new technology that they figured out how to send wireless signal or Wi-Fi signal from one spot to another spot.
Yeah. I mean,
it was a really long ways.
Yeah. It's a fascinating industry. But it sort of gave me something to build. I first started as a lifestyle business, right? So I kept it pretty small.
So explain what that is. I know what it is, but explain for the listeners what a lifestyle business is, because there's a lot of people that run a lifestyle business. Myself, that's since my heart attack, that's what my businesses have become, as a lifestyle business. So explain that for the listeners.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it was just really focusing on a certain geographic area. I knew that I can bring it to a certain amount, between 1 to 3 million in revenue, and be very profitable with only a few employees, right? But I wanted to be able to travel a lot. So my wife, Jean, and I really like to travel. We were avid scuba divers, skiers. And so we wanted to be able to spend time traveling. And so I set up a business that I can do, pretty much remotely about a third of the year. As long as I had an internet connection and a cell phone and a laptop, I could pretty much work anywhere. And mostly I was doing the sales for the business. So I could really sell from anywhere. I didn't have to physically be at any location per se. And so we kept it that way for quite a long time, where I didn't try to grow the revenue above a certain point. I focused just more on profit, and had plenty of profit that we were living the lifestyle that we wanted to live. And then had kids, and that sort of changes things, right? And then eventually we got to a point where now, again, my entrepreneur in me kicks in, and I get bored with my business, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I just can't do this for the rest of my life. I need something else.
Mhm.
So we decided to grow it. And that's the next thing you could do, is either sell it or grow it, right? And so we decided to grow it, and to grow our business, we grow geographically. And so at that point, we decided that, that the next hotspot, at that point, I came back to California, and I started a company actually in Silicon Valley, and then sort of moved up to Sacramento. And that's where we had our kids. And then we realized that, we don't want to live there anymore, for various reasons. And then we wanted to expand. And for a wireless company, I think you want places that are big and wide open, where there's a reason to shoot wireless a lot of places, right? And not, so much urban density. And so Texas was the spot. And I had a calling for Austin, and being in Texas back before Austin became popular. And so we moved out there, packed up the kids, and I kept the company running in California. I had employees there, and I was going to run it remotely. So I moved out to Texas, moved the corporation to Texas. Very much in line with what you teach. A lot of stuff is just no state income tax, and the Texas is extremely small business friendly, right? Compared to California, is extremely the worst place you can run a small business, in almost
or any business,
in any facet, right? Not just from a financial standpoint, but even all the legalities and everything else, which then hits the finances, all the stuff you have to do to protect yourself in California. So yeah, we had two offices, one in Austin, which then became our headquarters, and then California, which became a foreign corp. And so we ran that for a while. Still running today. We're in the process. We're probably going to exit it in the next 12 months, possibly sell to an employee, hand it over, which I'm real excited about. And I'll be talking to you a lot about that structure there before we get there.
Yeah, we need, if you're going to sell that, there is a new tax code that allows you to sell your C Corp up to $50 million. So the first $50 million is 100% tax exempt. As long as you sell it as a share, so you sell the shares of the C Corp, not an asset sale. So in your business, it would most likely be shares anyway, but it's $10 million per shareholder. So it could be you and Gina and then two of the kids, and then that's $40 million now. Tax on that whatsoever. $10 million.
Well,
that's a lot of money.
Unfortunately, I didn't talk to you early enough, because we were set up as an S Corp.
Well, we can convert it. That's the thing, is if you convert it, as long as it's you ran it now as a C Corp for 2 years, you can convert that and then still do it. So you still have time, but we'll talk about that off.
Yeah, I'll definitely pick your brain on that one. But even so, I know that, a couple conversations we've had, you have so many different ideas of, post-sell, how to trust, and different ways of moving that money, and where I put that money to work for tax advantages and stuff like that.
And there's another thing that you can do that's easier, and that is you and Gina get it's called premium financing life insurance policy. So it's an IUL, Index Universal Life, and similar to whole life, except for with whole life insurance, you get a dividend. And with interest rates being so high right now, your dividend's like 7-8% every quarter. So it's actually a pretty good deal with whole life. But as soon as the interest rates get adjusted, then that dividend gets smaller. But with IUL, Index Universal, that's indexed against the S&P 500. So your money in your life insurance policy is not invested, but the insurance company is allowed to take 10% of your premium and buy options. And when they buy the option, they share the profits with you up to 22% return per year. So if you had a life insurance policy, and let's say at your age, it's $1,000 a month for $1 million of coverage, you could put $20,000 a month into the life insurance. $1,000 goes to the insurance, $19,000 goes to your investment fund. And then they buy options, and now you're earning 22% interest a year on that $19,000 per month.
Wow, that's huge.
So over 12 months, you're earning $40,000 to $80,000 of, and I know I just messed up the math, but you're earning 22% on money that's not invested. So even if the stock market crashes, you don't lose any money whatsoever. And now that money grows tax-free like a 401k. And instead of pulling it out, because if you pull it out like you would a 401k,
that's my next question.
You pay taxes. So what the insurance companies do is they issue you a line of credit, just like on a house, and they use the cash and the life insurance as collateral. If you died, that pays off the loan. Or you can make payments, but you never have to pay off this loan. The cool thing is, even though you borrowed, let's say you had $1 million in cash sitting there and you pull 200,000 out per year, you're still earning 22% interest on your $1 million in cash, even though you're borrowing against it. So with a business owner like you and Gina, with premium financing, instead of having to wait 20 years to build $1 million or $2 million of cash value, we simply go down to a bank, and we'll say Bank of America. We go to Bank of America and say, hey, we want to finance $10 million life insurance policy. Bank of America then will loan you $10 million. That immediately goes into your life insurance policy. Now, Bank of America is the beneficiary of the life insurance policy for the first $10 million. So if you died a month later, Bank of America gets all of their money back plus $10 million in life insurance. So there's no risk to Bank of America at all. So in exchange, they'll loan you this $10 million, interest only, for 10 years, knowing that you're going to earn 22% interest or more on the $10 million they loaned you. Okay. So now in 10 years, you've paid interest only, which is tax deductible for your business, unlike life insurance is not, but the loan interest is tax deductible.
Yeah.
So now after 10 years of it growing, you should have, according to the premium life insurance policy, the numbers, and there's no better bean counter out there than insurance companies. That's why they have the biggest buildings, right? And they own a majority of the assets in America. Insurance companies do. So they're very good at investments. So they say after 10 years of this policy, you will have enough money to pay off the $10 million loan to Bank of America and have an additional $10 million of cash that you now can borrow against. So it's called premium financing. How this ties into your business is if you set up the premium financing now for you and Gina, when you sell the business, it's technically debt. So now instead of you and Gina getting an extra 10 million in the profit of selling the business, they subtract the 10 million and you pay off the debt. And now you have all of that cash from the premium financing tax-free. Because the buyer, instead of giving you $10 million extra, they pay off the loan, and that's 10 million now that you and Gina don't have to pay taxes on. Now, that's just a made-up number. It could be 50 million.
Yeah.
But it's called premium life insurance, IULs. And it's one of the best ways to really suck all the profits out of your company, tax deductible, and put it in a tax-free vehicle instrument in insurance. And then the banks love to loan money on this.
Well, 22% interest, that's incredible.
It's great,
right?
You know, and it's based on the stock market.
Yeah.
So if the stock market goes down, you still get a flat rate, which is enough to pay for the interest on the Bank of America loan. But if it goes up, they split it. So these guys, the banks are making 100%, 200% on the money. And so they're splitting it and it caps at a certain amount. But it's tax deductible for the business. It grows tax-free for you. You can access it tax-free. If something happened to you or Gina, you guys get all of that money tax-free because it's life insurance now. And the banks love loaning on it because they're going to get all the loan money back, plus they get the life insurance policy. And then what happens as you start getting more cash in there, the banks get less and less money if you died.
Yeah.
So, but they always get their money back. So, but we can talk about that. Premium life insurance is one way that you can sell your business. And that's how I have a buddy that owns a IT security system company. Mm-hmm. And he's buying all of these other small IT companies. And this is primarily how he's doing it.
Wow.
He's getting life insurance policies on the owner. Then his company that bought them pays the life insurance premiums. And then the owner's pulling the money out of the life insurance policy to walk away. So the owner gets their money no matter what. And then Rick comes in and just takes over and puts in a new C-level group, makes it profitable, and they just roll it up inside of his company. So it's fun stuff.
So many different ways, you know.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, you know, not probably the worst thing I ever did was not get enough advice early on, right? Because you find about stuff so much later down the road, and you're like, the woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? If I would have known, if I would have sought out and, you know, paying for high quality advice will 10x, 100x your money on the back end.
Yeah.
Right. It's always worth its weight in gold. And so there's so many things I find out every time I talk to you. I'm like, I get mad at you.
I know.
I'm like, will you just shut up? You make me feel so stupid. Like I made so many mistakes along the way. But
I just
at the
finished.
same time, you make me feel hopeful. Right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wait a second.
Well, at least we
have
moving
a game
forward.
plan here, right?
Yeah, moving forward. I just finished Greg Crabtree's book, his second book, and
Oh yeah, I know, Greg.
you know, his first. He's a great guy.
He is
very respected CPA. He knows his stuff.
You know, he was an EO.
Yeah,
he was EO member with us and stuff. I knew him back.
Oh, he was
in Austin.
in Austin. Okay,
yeah. He does out in Carolinas now. But
it was funny. I made it to page 7 of his 190-page book, his first one, when he said, "You should be happy that you get to keep 60% of your money." And I'm like, come on, Greg. It's typical CPA saying you have to give the IRS 40%. No, you do not. You can cut that in half with just one strategy. And then I know I've showed you a couple things with the kids.
Yeah.
So how is you want to talk about your kids a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
So you got 2 kids, right?
Yeah, and you actually helped us out quite a bit on that. So we implemented the strategy. So we have 2 kids. My son Bowman is 19, so he went off to school in Scotland. So he went over to University of Glasgow, and I think for my kids to travel and go overseas is pretty natural because we traveled so much as a family.
You guys were backpack travelers, right?
Yeah, we go all over the place.
I mean, it's literally like you have a backpack with clothing,
carry on only.
Carry on only.
You don't check anything, and we'll go for weeks with just carry on. And it wasn't the way at first, right? But then once we had kids, you realized, wait a second. Dad has to lug everything, so we're going to solve this problem. Everyone gets a backpack, and you take what you can fit, and that's it. Yeah. We learned how to travel light, and we've been all over the world. But anyway, so my kids love being overseas in different cultures and travel, and so my son ended up going to school over there. And my daughter right now will be a senior, Grace, and so she's looking at going to medical school.
Oh, wow!
And so she's also looking to go to school over there because it's very highly ranked medical schools. Now, ironically, you would think, wow, that's got to be expensive. It's actually cheaper for them to go to school over there than it is for me to put them here, even at Boise State.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost equivalent if I put them to Boise State.
Okay.
Because the government does subsidize most of the education over there, and they want foreign students.
Oh, okay.
So the cost to a foreign student is very low, and they even gave Bowman, scholarships to go there. So net, it's actually almost cheaper for them to go to school there than it would be to stay here, which is crazy.
And if you start, I know you got them on salary. That was the one strategy that I helped you with. Now it's tax deductible for your business.
So so for Bowman, we implemented a strategy there where we're actually paying him right through one of our LLCs. Mm-hmm. So we own several, like probably 7 or 8 companies altogether. Yeah. But through one of our my sole proprietor LLC, we're paying him. And so there was a tax strategy where I think it was up to like
35,000 during college.
Yeah. And then he pays the college.
Then he pays his own tuition. And so you paying the tuition.
Correct. Yeah. And so it lowers woulda, shoulda, coulda. I wish I would have done this a couple years earlier, right? Yeah. We got hit with a huge tax bill that the other year we actually made too much money and we didn't realize it. It was not our main core business. It was our LLCs that we had no idea how much money they were actually making. And we weren't really playing tax strategies because they're smaller businesses. Yeah. When you're doing a multi-million-dollar businesses, it's like that. You're a little one making an extra 200,000 here, 100,000 here. You don't pay attention to those little businesses, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, we had way too much income over there that we didn't tax strategize. Yeah. So now this year we're really focused on that. But yeah, thanks to you, we're doing that with one of those companies for the schooling. We're also putting money into some of the college funds for both him and Gracie as well, too, taking that right off as well too.
Yeah, and then you can add Gracie to or Grace, right?
Yeah,
you can add Grace at 15,000 right now.
Yeah,
for the LLC, and as long as they're doing work for the business. I showed you my upstairs studio, and I did a Facebook tax workshop last week, and I dropped all the coupons. I was doing a live presentation, and I just haven't picked it up off the floor. But the reason those coupons were up there was they're all pictures of business owners' kids on their coupons. So you know how you get that coupon book in the mail once a month, and it's got like all the local businesses, the HVAC and the plumbers and the landscaping people. I had taken all of the ones with kids and used that in my workshop, showing this is how you pay your kids $15,000 a year as a model. Now, in order to do it, you got to have proof your kids were a model. So who are you going to do business with?
Yeah, thanks to you, we do. So we use that strategy.
Yeah,
and
it works. I mean,
have the modeling contract with them.
Yeah. Why pay? I mean, these are not loopholes. These are black and white in the tax code, and it's section 162A. Any expenses, ordinary and necessary. So is it necessary for Joe Wargo to have employees to make your business work? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it necessary for you to market and have marketing expense?
Yes.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
So and you can look at many different studies. Business owners that market with a family and kids, whether it's their kids or not, that customers will pick that business many more times than someone without the kids on the advertising. Same thing with dogs.
Yeah.
Look at how many ads you see with dogs in them now, especially golden doodles, because they're the best dog ever. So
you're a little biased on that one.
Yeah. You already know the game is rigged, but what you might not know is there's a legal way to flip the script. I'm hosting a live 3-day workshop called Winning the Tax Game. Inside, I'll show you exactly how I've paid just a few $100s in income tax over the last 10 years, legally, ethically, and by the book. You'll learn how to turn your biggest expenses into the biggest business tax write-offs. You'll learn how to bulletproof your assets from frivolous lawsuits and how to play by the real IRS rulebook, the one the wealthy use. If you're a business owner and you're sick of giving 30 to 50% of your profit over to your silent partner, the IRS, then go to winningthetaxgame.com and reserve your seat. If you're listening to this right now, use promo code School of Wealth at the checkout to get $100 off the price of admission. Let's stop donating to the IRS. It's time you learn how to win. So go to winningthetaxgame.com and get registered today. So you have, I thought of your son the other day. I went to a coffee and cars, and they were actually doing a powerlifting event. So it was like a little coffee and cars flea market thing in Cuna. So they had all the cars there, and then they had the bank there and the chiropractors, and then they had the Idaho state powerlifting competition. And there were some kids in there lifting, like squatting 550. I mean, it was insane.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So Bowman, your son, was a power lifter, right?
So yeah, he was really into powerlifting, and that was another driver for him to go to the UK, because powerlifting over there is like a mega sport. Here in the US, it's sort of underground, not as big, and so he got into powerlifting, and he did extremely well. He's taking a little hiatus from it now. He's still lifting, but he stopped competing for right now while he's going to school, because it was just taking too much of his day. That to do school and powerlifting was hard. I mean, you got to be in the gym like 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so he's taking a little higher. He's lifting for himself now, maintaining. Powerlifting is a lot, really the peak age for powerlifting is 28 to 32. So he's only 19. So he has a long time to
wait for your bones to like get really strong and dense.
But so that's good. So he's off to college, and Gracie's looking over the next year. And part of that is one of the reasons why we're going to exit one of our main business, the wireless business, is if they're both over there, we want to be able to travel a lot more, spend time with them, and so we'll probably live part-time over in Europe and then, part-time here.
Yeah. That's why I know you travel a lot. That's why when you texted me the other day that you were on your way to AUS, I was like, Australia, what are you?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know you also do concerts, and there was the Black Sabbath concert. I was just talking to someone, and they're like, hey, do you know somebody can get me tickets to Black Sabbath? And then the next day you texted me and said, I'm on my way to AUS. And I was like, is he going to the Black Sabbath concert?
Yeah.
No, you meant Austin.
we love concerts as a family and travel. We went to, it was a couple of years ago. My family loves Coldplay, things Cold. We all do, my wife and the kids. And Bowman at the time said, and it was during COVID, but he goes, hey, they came out with a new album, and they're going to be touring. When they tour, if COVID's done, can we go see them somewhere? And I said, to me, Coldplay is a big stadium band, right? The best live. They're way better live than they are recorded, and they're really great in a big stadium. Their presence is phenomenal. And so I said, yeah, absolutely, but only one condition: it's got to be somewhere overseas. it's got to be foreign because they go really big on the foreign tour. And so sure enough, they announced they were going to play Berlin in the old Olympic Stadium, the one that Hitler built, like the historic, back in World War II, built in the 30s, and which is unique in itself, just that stadium. But I was like, wow, that'd be phenomenal to see Coldplay play there. So I bought tickets, but COVID was still on. So at that point, there was no travel. So we didn't know if it was going to happen or not. And sure enough, probably about 2 months before the concert date, they lifted the ban on COVID. Right. And especially over there. And so we flew to Europe and Germany and toured Germany for a little bit, took Gene up to wine country and toured that. We stayed in some castles and then we went to see Coldplay play in Berlin. But along the way, we had a couple of days to kill them. They just happened to find out that Ed Sheeran was playing about 3 hours away. So we're like, I got online, bought some tickets. I'm like, let's hop on the train. Let's go see Ed Sheeran too. So we squeezed that one in between. So yeah, it was pretty fun.
Did you get a chance to go to Post Malone when you were at BSU?
We did. And
How was that?
That was phenomenal. It's probably one of the biggest things ever hit Idaho.
It was actually the biggest concert ever in Idaho.
Yeah, it was they put on a phenomenal show. Went way over, like an hour over.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and but it was a phenomenal crowd. I mean, he was welcomed very well here, and I want to see Jelly Roll. I like Jelly Roll a lot. I think he's just got an angelical voice.
Yeah,
the guy's just really phenomenal, and he was awesome. And then Post Malone was awesome. As you know, he's moving here.
Yeah, he just bought a house down the street from
I think it's right around this area.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that was a good show. So the whole family went.
Yeah,
but it was fun.
I was thinking about something. Back up a little bit to Germany. What was that like living in Germany during the Cold War, especially with your MLS? So I was watching Fubar the other day. It's a silly show on Netflix with Arnold Schwarzenegger and their CIA spies. And the last episode, they're taking apart a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
And it made me think of you because you actually know how to take apart nuclear bombs.
That's what we did. Yeah. So that was fascinating. My MLS, I worked on the Pershing II nuclear system. And so we were a small special ops group because we were self-contained. So we did everything. We had our own special forces group. And so we did all of our own security, everything from the motor pool to, food, everything, logistics. But yeah, I worked on the missile. I was the guy that would fire the thing. And so it was pretty interesting. At that time, it was at the height of the Cold War.
Yeah.
And also too, it was the height of really the anti-nuclear movement was massive. Right. And, everyone at that point thought it was just a matter of minutes before we're going to have a full scale nuclear attack. And there was a lot of heat going on, there was a lot of stuff going on at the time with the Soviet Union. And, so technically, really, it's when President Reagan and Gorbachev signed the INF treaty was due to my job. So I got a presidential citation from President Reagan. It was our unit that basically ended the Cold War.
Wow.
And it was all hush hush, right? No one really knew. They said it was protesters, and it was all these other million things that ended the Cold War, economics, and a lot of it was economics. We outspent them, President Reagan put a lot of money into our unit, and we had the latest, greatest everything, and we were deployed nonstop around the clock. And because of that, we sort of stalemated them. And literally, I was there when the wall came down. And because of security clearance and stuff like that. At that time, I could never go to Berlin. I was never allowed anywhere near the Eastern Bloc countries at all because
of security clearance.
Security clearance, if I got kidnapped or something like that, or approached by spies. We got approached by spies all the time. People trying to get information, offer you this and offer you that, and going to Berlin to see Coldplay was another thing for me to go see that where the wall was, because it was sort of like that was my thing. But I never got a chance to ever really physically see it. So
wow, cool.
Yeah.
So you did that, and then you have Alpha and Omega Wireless. You're getting ready to sell that in the next couple of years. You have a new business that you are promoting because you got a little bored. That's what we do. We get bored in business, especially after 22 years.
And this one here, is really probably the most excited about anything I've ever been. And the reason being is I get to work with entrepreneurs and business owners. So it's like I don't have my own business. I'm working with all these other businesses and helping them with their businesses. So it's Aptiv Index is the psychometrics technology that it's a game changer. It's a game changer in how businesses hire, how they work with their teams, how they build their leadership, and how they run their companies, quite honestly. psychometrics has been around for a long time, and I got involved with psychometrics back in my other company, right? And so people that don't know psychometrics, is if you heard of DISC or Briggs Meyer,
Yeah.
right, or Working Genius and cultural index and predictive index, those are all psychometric tools. So they've been around for decades and decades. And DISC is probably one of the most famous ones that people are very aware of, but it's very simple. People are either a D, I, or S, or C. They sort of categorize this group of people into this sort of quadrant. And it's helpful, right? It's very helpful to understand sort of where someone is. A lot of people think of these as personality assessments, right? But psychometrics has evolved dramatically. So even probably one of the greatest ones out there now that a lot of business owners are using is called cultural index or predictive index. Those two are sort of bigger and a lot more detailed. But they're over 20 years old. None of the science in those have changed in over 20 years. And they're sort of limited now. I mean, think about now. So we're Aptiv, the founder of Aptiv, is a brilliant guy and entrepreneur himself, had company that he grew and sold, and he was using cultural index, and I've used cultural. So we started using cultural index in our company.
Yeah, we use it.
Right?
We used it as well.
Yeah, and it's basically a hiring assessment, right?
Yeah.
So you can really understand who a person is, what their behavioral traits are, and know if they're really a fit for the role that you're hiring for. So psychometrics are great from that aspect. But all the ones that were out there, the problem that we found after using it for a decade, it wasn't solving all of our problems. Even people that we hired using it, we ended up firing, and because they weren't performing the way we thought they were going to perform. And so the owner of Aptiv, when he had capital, he went and really got the scientists who developed the psychometric behind cultural index and predictive index. And here you got these PhD people that have 20 years more knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think of that, that's huge, right? As far as the accuracy now. So when you take an assessment, the accuracy and what we measure on people is completely different. So now
and people are different.
People are different, right?
With cell phones, just with all of it. Can you imagine? Think of it as a technology. Culture index is a 20-year-old technology.
Correct. Think about the phone back in. So if you go back to 2005 right now,
what
phone were you using? Right.
I
know you didn't have that beautiful
it wasn't
Apple Watch on.
No,
you didn't have that.
I did not have that watch on either.
Right. I mean,
I think it was a flip phone.
Right. I think people weren't even getting LASIK eye surgery back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just starting to come out. Like that was
because the iPhone wasn't even out then.
No,
I think it was a Razor.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was because I
think I had the Motorola Flip.
I think they were Razors because it was the first one you could do video on.
Yeah,
it was 2005 if I remember right. But anyway,
yeah. So the technology of psychometrics is exponentially have changed, right? I mean, you can imagine even the last 5 years with technology, what has changed, right?
The last 5 minutes, it's changed.
It's crazy. So the owner of Aptiv brought in these scientists and they redid it, and it was like a gift to them to be able to say, we got all this 20 years of knowledge now that we want to update. And so he took that and had them develop Aptiv. But on top of that is we used AI. He embraced AI like crazy. And, the value of AI in this is a game changer. So we have an AI platform built on top of the psychometrics. So the psychometrics that we measure is not a behavioral thing that we measure, right? Like some of the older ones did. This is really measuring the innate needs of a person, their innate drivers, right? Is what we say. What really drives a person naturally. And knowing that tells you an awful lot about how a person is going to show up and perform, right? How they behave in a work environment, how they can perform in a work environment, in any environment really, but we use it towards business. So it's a really game changer. So like the other ones, we use it for hiring. It is, I'll say like the other ones, maybe 60% accurate based on what we know now, where Aptiv is about 98% accurate.
Okay.
It adds a lot more different layers that we can never measure before. Right. And so you take the assessment and it gives all 8 complete attributes of someone. And it also tells you about the pairings of it all. But before, you'd get these results, right? Great. You're a DISC, you're ID. What does that mean? Right.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at it, we do have categories we sort of can group people into, right? Based on whether they're visionary or they're more, quantitative, objective, experiential, those type of things. But everyone has sort of a unique profile. So it's almost like a fingerprint. And so now we can really drill down. Now, someone's just not a D, but we can actually tell, take a group of 10D people in disc, and we can show you how different they really are. They're completely different. And
I've
so,
noticed that because I did disc training with I bought a real estate franchise, and it was a requirement that we had to do a 5-day FBI agent came in and trained us on personality profiling, and we used disc primarily.
Which back then that was
great. Yeah, that was 2005. Actually, 2005, and it was use disc. So when you interview for potential real estate agents that you're going to hire, these are the type of personalities that do really well with real estate, which ones don't.
Yeah.
And so that's why we spent 5 days learning about this. I did the test, the Aptiv test, and it was eye-opening because I've been studying personality profiling for 20 plus years now.
I'll tell you what, when I saw your profile, I knew more about you than you knew about yourself.
Probably. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And I think once we start telling you about it, you're like, you can look at it and say, wow, that is me. That's correct. And it's not, like I say, it's not a behavioral assessment. It's what drives people, right? The innate drives behind you. And knowing that, I say it's like this, it doesn't mean you can't do something, right? Or be someone. You could do any job you really want. People can do things if they're educated in it, if they really want to do it, right? But I call it your energy vampires. Think about it. There's certain things that you do that just come completely natural. You're in your flow state. There's things you can do that just, you could do it 24 hours a day and you would have all the energy in the world. This comes natural to you. Things that, just some people have certain skills that just seem like so easy for them. And then there's other traits, things that you do that you can do, but they suck the life out of you. That's your energy vampires. I was
doing one of those things this morning.
Right. And, and so a lot of times, we hire people for a position and they think they want to do that position.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the money that's driving them, or maybe it's the title, or it sounds like a good career. So they do it. And, but it goes really against their natural tendencies. Right. So when you put someone in that type of position, you're lucky to get about 40% efficiency out of them. Right. Versus if you put someone that's their natural flow state, you're probably going to get closer to 70 to 80%.
Wow.
So you think about that. That's double the amount
of productivity.
Double. Right.
Yeah.
Same person,
pay, double the
same
productivity.
pay, but double the production. So think about a salesperson. You bring in a salesperson that literally, and trust me, I look at salespeople all the time and they think they like sales. And I can tell you right off the bat with this index that no, there's certain types of sales too. Maybe they're product sales, or maybe they can inbound calls, but they can't go get you new business. Now, if you get someone who's out there grinding it and maybe doing 40% effort, right? Get efficiency out of them versus you put someone that's 80%, well, that's double your revenue.
Yeah.
Off of the same position.
Same guy, same pay.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And so it's a great hiring tool, and that's what we use it for. But the owner of Aptiv, the thing that, after doing cultural index for 10 years, and I did cultural index for 10 years, is we always had that, now what? There's a lot of still unknown. Like I said, I had to fire people that I hired off of it. And that's what the problem he solved. And by bringing these scientists and then using AI platform, we're able to really dig in. So really 30% value of Aptiv is the hiring phase, just like everything else. But then it has a whole 70% more that the other ones don't solve. And the greatest thing I think in it is really sort of the team optimization and conflict resolution that it provides you. So here's the difference. I can take your profile, my profile, and I can ask the AI. And it's literally like having these guys who have like combined hundreds of years of science behind them, and and having Tony Robbins and Brene Brown put them all together and shake them up in a blender. And you can ask the AI about how will Joe and Rondi work together. Now they both have in a disc, we both are high Ds, and in Aptiv we're called Eagles. We're in this high vision, very objective sort of area, but it'll tell us that you and I are very different. There's still a lot of differences in there. And this AI will tell you literally what our strengths combined are, how we should work together, and where our conflicts are going to be. Because we will have conflicts working together. And it'll give you a framework on what positions or roles should we both have to work well together. It's a really fascinating psychometric tool. When I found out about it, I wanted to use it for my own business. I was like, this is a game changer. Forget Culture Index, forget all the other ones. I'm going to pay for Aptiv Index. And then the owner found out that I was sort of in the same boat with him on the understanding psychometrics and my passion for it. And he was like, you got to come on board. You got to help me with this thing, because you get it, you understand it, you have a passion for it. So now, I get to work with entrepreneurs and business owners to really help them really grow their business. It's rather than trying to make you're starting at the hiring decision and making a mistake. And then now you're coaching people through a problem. Right. And that's what we do as business owners, right? We have a team of people and we spend most of our time just sort of trying to work on our business, coach our people, get our teams right, get our processes right so that people can follow the processes. What if you had a tool that actually you could put the right people in place that they're doing it for you? They're automatically doing this and you don't have to spend that time focusing on this, right? So the team optimization piece is fascinating. I'll give you a great example. Even on my own company, I used it in one of my companies, and we had a team where we have technicians that do the wireless to go out and build, climb towers and do this work. We took one of our A players. This guy was great, man. If we could just duplicate him and all of our employees like him, we'd have super soldiers and it would be phenomenal, right? That's what we did. We went out and hired a bunch of people using the other indexes at the time. They were identical to this person. It put them out on a team and they failed miserably.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, our jobs were going days over. We went over budget. Everything was going down south. Morale was bad. And we couldn't figure out, but we hired all these right people. Fast forward to Aptiv, we put them in Aptiv and we realized, and we asked the AI, and the AI said, this is a disaster, basically, right? Because you have too many people in the same system that are going to clash. There's going to be so much conflict with this team that they're not going to be productive. And so I asked, basically, based on this, our teams, what type of profile should I really have on this team? Matter of fact, here's a list of my employees. Who should be in a team? These people right here should be in a team together. And you put those people on a team together and all of a sudden jobs are getting done days prior, way under budget. They're flowing, they're having fun. It changed the culture of our company.
Yeah.
And so, this is where the power of psychometrics work and the power of AI, of when you can really sit there and look at the psychometrics of a person, what their core attributes are and their standalone attributes, and to really pair them in the right environment based on what that environment is.
Yeah, I was looking at it with my team and I've already implemented some of it. And what I do as a tax strategist is I can come in, reduce any business owner's tax by 50%. And so that's why I love doing it. It's because I'm working with business owners and entrepreneurs and I can immediately day one cut their taxes in half. Now with Aptiv, which is why I was pushing you so much to get you to come on the podcast so I could share this with the world, is not only can we fix now the tax problem, but then bring you in and use Aptiv to profile everybody or do the what's it called? Psychometrics.
Yep.
And then see if the people are in the right seat. Because what I found was I had someone doing paperwork. So when I changed the corporate structure, it's about 1,000 pages of paperwork. And I had this one person doing it because that's what they've always done, was the printing and the documents and all that. And then I found out that's not her strength. She should not be doing that. So I moved it to another team member who absolutely loves doing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and now I'm getting, like you said, instead of getting 40% productivity out of these two employees, which is really good if you can get 40%.
Yeah.
Now I'm probably getting 70 to 80% out of each one. And they both love what they're doing now. And they both have energy now. And then it allows me to focus on what I want to do, which is none of the paperwork stuff.
Well, so it's funny. A good friend of ours, Shannon, started using Aptiv. And to be honest with you, he was a little skeptical at first. He was like, okay, hand it off to my people below, let them do it. And I said, no, you need to be using this. I want you trained. I want you to know this. And he did. And we looked at his people and stuff like that. And it was funny because he has one guy that it was just like light bulbs went off. He was like, this guy, we had him in the office doing a certain role. And, according to Aptiv, his social ability, this guy needed to be around people. Right. And they had, you put him in the corner office to do a project manager role.
Yeah.
Probably getting 40% out of the guy.
Yeah. Because he's not around people.
He's a great guy, right? You hire him because they're the right person. Right. They fit culturally. You love them. Man, they just gel with everybody on the team. But it said, this is the guy that you need out in a bunch of cubicles because he's the guy that's going to lean over the cubicles and talk all day. Mm-hmm. So what did they do? They moved him to an outside position in construction as a supervisor. So now he's dealing with subcontractors and clients and everybody all day long. And the guy loves it. Yeah. And he loves it. When they had him in the corner office, they didn't realize there was times that he would disappear. He told me this. We would be like, where is this guy? He's not in the office. Where did he go? And they'd call him and he'd be down at Starbucks. Oh, I just had to go get a coffee real quick. I'll be right back. he just needed to be around people. It didn't matter what people. He was like driving stir crazy.
Yeah.
And then he also used the Aptiv II for his EA position. And this was a game changer because, you say, well, what do I need in an EA? And this is sort of what
Executive assistant. Yeah.
typical personality traits would say, this is what you need.
Yeah.
And we used Aptiv and we ran it, and the person that he had was not a fit for him that he thought was going to be a fit, I should say. And so we created a job profile, and people that interviewed that you put them in there, and it'll tell you by percentage how close of a hit they really are. And this person was a much better hit. And he says right now it's the greatest thing, but the traits were different than what he thought. So we put him in the AI and said, based on this person, based on Shannon, what would be an executive assistant profile that would be right for him? And based on this is what he needs them to do. And it literally said that one person he had was a no.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a 50% hit. And this is exactly the profile you want. So we created that profile, and that's what he interviewed against. And sure enough, it worked.
My last executive assistant she was amazing. And I remember we did culture index, and the guy that the trainer was like, oh, this is the perfect executive assistant. She's going to be amazing. But here's the thing. I couldn't stand talking to her.
Yeah.
Like she was an amazing person and would do everything, but there was just something between her and I that I just didn't want to communicate with her, which is not what you want with your executive assistant. Yeah. And she would do the work, but there was just something disconnected in there with between her and I.
Knowing your profile, I'll tell you right now, I don't know her profile, but I guarantee if we did it to her, I'd be probably like 98% accurate on this. You have a very intense personality, and you're very sort of a visionary as well too, and you're very fast paced, right? And so for you, having someone that you could just say, hey, this is what I need done, and to be able to walk away and have someone that could be independent, say, all right, Rondi, I got you. I'll go do it. They'll either know how to do it or they'll go figure it out, right? It's probably perfect for you, but it's someone that you have to give detailed instructions step by step of saying, I need this done this way, this way. It's going to go against your grain, right? And eventually drive you nutty because you're like, I'll just do it myself.
And that's what happened was I started, after explaining what I needed her to do, I would have to go figure it out to tell her what to do. And by the time I'd figured it out, I'm like, I'm just going to do this.
I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah. So I had one of my friends hire her.
Yeah.
And she's doing great with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where
Mike Taylor hired her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So psychometrics can really help out. It's funny talking about Mike too. We're doing a lot with coaches right now. As a matter of fact, you introduced a very high level business coach to me. And it's amazing how many coaches I'm talking to that are using this now, getting their clients to sign on to Aptiv, because it gives the coach now a playbook on who they are coaching. We have one that you know who he is too, but he has a firm that he's working with, and he's struggling. He knows what they need to do. He knows these are the processes, these are the tools they need to be doing, but they're just not doing it, right? And it's like they're paying me to tell them this, but they're not. I can't get them to do it. And so I said, well, let's run them through Aptiv. And so we ran their board on Aptiv, and it was funny before. I didn't know who any of these people who are. I just got their assessments. I had them in a folder, so I knew that it was his client. And I sent him a text. I said, hey, by any chances these two people have conflict with these two people on the board? And I knew this because I ran a profile. I just asked Aptiv AI, which is called Aria. And I asked Aria, I said, Aria, these people are part of a board of this type of firm. Can you give me a jet overview profile assessment of them? And it literally told me, here's your key strengths as a board. Here's some of the and here's some conflicts. As a matter of fact, these two people are going to have conflict with these two people specifically. And so I texted the coach and said, hey, and he was like, these two I don't know about for sure, but this person, that person, absolutely. And they're partners. They're the partners of the firm. And it was like, and he was like, how in the world did you know that? And I've never talked to these people. And I said, well, because this is what psychometrics allows us to do. And it was easy enough said that one was more of a visionary, fast mover. He wants to make decisions, do fast. 80% accuracy is good enough. Let's make it, pull the trigger, move. The other person, his partner, is very more objective and wants to be really more thoughtful about what's going on and much slower, more deliberate. And so this one partner would come up with these great ideas at the board meeting, like, this is what we got to implement and do. Mike told us we got to do this tool. Let's do it. Let's run through walls. And the other person would be like, well, hold on a second. And then the other person's like, well, why are you going against me on every decision I'm trying to make here? And the other person was saying, why are you pushing me? Why don't you let me, do the due diligence on this thing. And so then we threw it in there. So Mike's, what do I do about this now? And I said, well, let's ask Aria. So I asked the psychometric, and again, you have all this data and, and it went through and it said, literally, this is what you got to do. Just sit them down, make sure they understand each other's profiles, and have the one person be the visionary for the decision making, and let the other person then to go implement, and give them more time. Let them tell you what the time frame is going to be, and be good with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then the other person was like, fine, I'm cool with that. And they're both like, great. And now all of a sudden you have a game plan as a coach to now coach them and hold them accountable for that.
Yeah, I saw that with my last business partner. He was with me for 6.5 years, and I was like, let's get it done now. It wasn't soon enough.
Yeah.
And he was, I want to drag this out. Not to drag it out. He wanted to make sure it was perfect. I don't care about perfect.
Sure. Absolutely.
I want it at 80%, and then we can adjust from there.
Correct.
And that's the same thing with him and I. And we had figured it out. Like, I knew that how his personality worked and how mine worked, and we'd figured out, like, you can't do it fast enough. So that's the cool thing with Aptiv rather.
Yeah.
And how that works with getting 80% out of your employees, which could be double the productivity, making sure the employees are in the right seat. So now they're happier at work. You're happier. Everybody else. As soon as you said you hired all the same personality, put them on the same team, I was like, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah.
But if you move them so they have other people on the team, of course it's going to work.
Do you have collections, charge-offs, even repos on your credit report? Let me tell you what not to do. Don't ignore it and don't overpay it. See, most people either panic or they pay full price, or they bury their head in the sand and let their credit rot until they get sued. At Fortress, we help you restructure your debt, settle it for a fraction of what you owe. And because of the way we negotiate with the banks and the collection companies, we often can get it removed from your credit report as well. Now, a lot of the time, the creditor will agree to delete it up front. This isn't a trick, it's a strategy. So click the link in the bio to learn more, or go to fortressu.com.
I have another client that has people that are all sort of in that grouping that I told him, I go, dude, you got too many of the same people. Yeah. And, you need to put someone that has some vision in there to lead this group. The last example I'll give you is, you build a team that, and if they're all, one of the traits we can tell is a pro-social trait that we can tell that people all need conformity, right? The consensus. Yeah. So you put 5 people together, and if they all need consensus, you got a problem. They're never going to get anything done. Right. They're going to take too long to make a decision. They're not, it's just like putting, just think about you and a significant other, you want to go out to dinner and you say, well, honey, what do you want to go eat? And she's like, well, I don't know. Just, I'm open to anything. What about you? And you're like, well, I'm open to anything too. But I want you to be happy. So where do you want to go? And you know how that story goes. Oh, yeah. It doesn't go anywhere, right? To the point where you end up saying, well, how about pizza then? You're like, well, no, that's not what I was thinking. Right. Okay. Well, you said anything. Okay. What about, what do you want? Well, how about a salad? Well, that's not what I was thinking. And then you end up getting to the point like, well, screw it. We're just going to make whatever's in the fridge. Let's just stay home, right? There goes our date night. Same thing with people on a team that want to build consensus. They just, until they all agree upon something, and then they're probably not going to make the best decision because they're going to pick the weakest decision that they can all just agree upon, the least common denominator.
Okay.
Aptiv will tell you that you need to have someone that has more vision on that team to pull the trigger and say, be the rule breaker and say, no, this is what we need. And this is a tool that we're able to do.
How much do you think entrepreneurs lose by just hiring the wrong people?
Probably about a third of their net bottom line, right?
Third of their net bottom line, yeah. Because you hire someone and then it takes months, potentially months to train them. So you got all that money invested in them. Great people, just the wrong person for that job.
I'll tell you financially, we had a situation in my company where we didn't use the psychometrics and we hired someone. He cost me over $500,000 in 6 months. And it took us about 2 years then, because now we're down negative. As you know, now we got to make up that ground. So it's not just make back $500,000, but we're starting off $500,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
So you got to make that up before you start making profit again. Right.
Right.
And it was because the person was the wrong type of person. And then what he do, he go out and hired, he's 6-digit salary. As I hired him as a COO.
Yeah. And
he went out and hired, what did he do? 5 other people that were 6-digit salaries that were all bad hires.
Yeah.
And literally within 6 months, we were 500 grand. Not only that's what we spent on salaries, but that's
And then the losses on top of that.
On top of that.
And then you got to make back twice as much.
So we probably lost about $2 million by that bad hire.
Just one bad hire. And it wasn't a bad person. I mean, that guy was a rock star. Otherwise, you wouldn't have hired him for 6-figure salary.
You know, the funny thing is he did that role for a company in our industry. So everything on his resume was perfect, right? Interviewing him, I love the guy. It was like, we got along great. The vision was there. But there were certain things that we just missed that we didn't see. And if I would have used Aptiv, it would have been a no hire from the beginning.
Do you think Aptiv would help the CEO come up with questions to ask people to promote them?
Thanks for lobbing a softball at me. So I just recently hired the head of sales for my for one of my companies, and I literally asked Aptiv. I said, "Hey, what interview question should I ask him?"
Oh wow! Okay.
But what even better, what I thought was even cooler, I was like, "This." You start geeking out on this stuff. I said, "What questions should I ask his references about him that will fill in the blind spots that I have?"
Okay.
And it literally said, "Here's the questions that you should get qualified on his references." So I talked to his references and I asked specifically these questions, and it was a game changer. The responses I got, I was like, okay, gave me so much more confidence in hiring the person.
I didn't even think about that, because that's the problem with references is there's so many things you'd like to ask, but can't.
Yeah.
So I would assume that because they know that's what it's for, they would write a question that you could legally ask.
Absolutely. And based on his profile, based on the position, it knows the position that I want. And it gives you everything exactly. Because think about interviewing, it's really crazy. We ask the same damn questions every same person.
Yeah.
But we expect different results. Right. And that's like behavioral interviewing. You know, we'll ask a salesperson the same questions we ask a factory line worker. And it doesn't work. Right. So think about now, if you can ask, what question should I ask based on this guy's profile?
Yeah.
So maybe I interview 5 people. It may give me different questions to ask these 5 different people.
You know, I wonder if you could use, because I'm thinking of the coaching business. So I have a lot of clients, tax clients that are coaches, like the one that I sent over to you. You know, it'd be interesting if you could, because when I took the test, I was expecting something to be really complicated. And when I got done with the test, I was like, well, when are the complicated questions going to show up? Because and a lot of these profiling tests that you take, there's words I don't even know what they mean. You have no idea what it means.
And that's the 20 years outdated problem.
Yeah. And with Aptiv, it was like, wow, that was easy. I wonder how you could use that, because it's so easy and simple with potential customers. If you can run customers through it.
So I do.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's a great thing. So, because I want them to understand it, right? It's not that I'm trying to pull Jedi mind trick behind them, a sales tactic, but you know, if I'm selling to a business coach, let's say, if I get there, I always get their profile first. Take it so I can show you. So it helps me show them what it looks like, right? I show them the portal where here you can just click on it and it's going to tell you. But once I show them the AI piece of it, they flip out, right? But I said, you know, like for this coach, I said, you know, I want this coach to start having his clients buy it. And it basically based on this coach's profile, here's what you need to explain to the coach so he understands Aptiv the best. Mm-hmm. And then based on, and I can run it on you. Like if you have a client and if I had their profile, I could say, you know, how should Rondi sell to this client, right? Yeah. To convince them that the value that he brings. And because client's skeptical. And it'll analyze it. Of course, the client's skeptical because of their profile, right? And this is the tonnage that Rondi needs to use, or even senses. Start your pitch this way, so you can use it absolutely in sales if you know your client. I used it ironically recently. I'll give you this one example. It's sort of similar though. We had a guy that was up for his quarterly review, one of my all-star players in my California office, and it was like the guy that I cannot lose, right? And 30 minutes before his quarterly review, another employee told the supervisor that he's going to quit because of money. I'm like, what? There's no flipping way. We cannot let this guy go. This is insane. And knowing my personality the way I would normally approach, I said, let me be on this quarterly review. I'm taking charge here in my profile. Right. And I probably would have cornered the guy right away and said, you know, tell me about the money. What's going on? You know, you can't make that elsewhere. I would have tried to done whatever I could do to salvage it. I I took his profile and I asked Aptiv, this is the situation, my top employee, here's his profile. He's my lead tech, is a foreman. This is what he's making. This is what I was told by another employee, that this is that. It literally came back and said, the chances are being about money is probably not true. Based on his profile, he probably has something else going on in his personal life. Be sure to start the quarterly review with this, because your profile, Joe, do not start the way you would normally say. Tell me, literally, don't say what you're going to say. Here's what you say. Luckily, it was on a Teams call, so it was remote, and I literally read, because he couldn't see me. I read what it told me to say. 30 minutes later, it had nothing to do about money. We gave him, of course, we took care of him financially. We gave him, he had some financial debt that we allowed him to pay off, and we took care of for him because he earned it. But it ended up being about his wife, of him not being home enough for their kids' events, because we had him traveling so much.
Oh, wow.
And so at the end of the day, I this came out because of what I was, why he was typing into Apple.
Yeah.
This is what he's telling me now. And it kept saying, okay, well, then this is the situation based on, this is what he's feeling. This is how you acknowledge what he's feeling or what he's going through. And I did. And literally the next day, his wife basically told us, I got a message from his wife saying, he's now your most loyal employee that you'll ever have.
Wow.
Right. Because he went home and told his wife about how great this quarterly review went.
Wow.
And so, that saved me. I can't even put a financial price tag on
Yeah,
that
I mean,
one.
that could be millions of dollars. Literally
Couldn't
millions
even put a price
of
tag
dollars
on that one. Yeah, but people are using it. We're using it now for a company in Austin to look at maybe rebuilding their sales team, right? Because it's easy to run and say, look, there's conflict on this team.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the investment for a business owner to get started with this?
It one hire pays for itself, the ROI, and I don't care how big of a company you are. Starting off, we sort of scale it, and we're very fluid about it. We charge a one-time fee to train everybody, and we train you, whether it's just you or your whole team. We don't care, for $1,000. It's $999, the one-time training fee. It only takes about 4 hours to train someone, because it's so intuitive that once they have the portal and the AI and they learn how to use that, they can go and ask us own questions. One company right now is asked, what is the training going to be like? And we're like, about 4 hours. And they're like, well, we thought it'd be weeks of training. And we're like,
that's the other company was like 2.5 days. Yeah, 2 days.
Culture Index charges $2,000 a person.
And then I got to memorize everything that they know over 20 years.
Of 2 to 4 people.
There's no portal.
Right. Wow. Right. So,
all right. So 4 hours. I get a portal with it.
And then we say, well, just use the AI to train everybody.
Yeah.
It'll literally teach it. Right. So we do that to get people going. If you're from like 0 to 25 people, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but it's like just over $5,000 for the year. So right there, one hire, and you can screen as many people. You can screen 1,000 people. We don't care. Yeah. Right. So if you run an ad, you can screen 1,000 people. We don't care. We base on the number of employees you have currently in your company. Because again, the big value of it is the now what.
Right.
Now that I got these 20 employees, how do I make my teams function? Who should be in what role? Right. What coaching? So you can ask, Ronnie's my employee here and he's my top sales guy, but what coaching should I do for him? And it'll say, this is where things that will really get Rondi excited. And this is what you should be doing as far as your coaching to Rondi, make him even better and help him grow.
Yeah.
So that's 70%. So we base on number of employees. I think from 26 to 50 people, it's about $8,800 for the year, which is again, way below one hire. And then it sort of scales up, even up to like 100 employees. It's like 12,000 a year. And it's on our website. We're the only ones that disclose it right up front. And, but the value, is funny. So I have one person, a friend of ours that has a company of about 150 people. And he was like, okay, I was using Cultural Index for years. Actually, I turned him on 2 years ago because I was so excited about it. And he's like, but this is going to cost me like $5,000 more a year. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You have 150 employees. So you're talking about this is like $1.40 more an employee a month. Right. Yeah. And I said, look at this. And I broke it down simple. How many times do people come into knock on your door, call you during the day? Employees. Well, that's half my day. Right. Like he goes, he has special time. He shuts off the phone so he can actually get work done.
Yeah.
He goes, but at least half my day. And I said, okay, when these employees come to you, what are they coming to you about? It's other employees, the people they supervise, right? They're usually upper managers or supervisors. They're dealing with a problem internal, right? Maybe it's a client issue, but a lot of times they can figure out client issues. It's mostly internal stuff. And I said, I took some of his profiles. This one person in your company, what if this person could have access to his team. So he can set up where they have access only to their team, people they supervise. He can go in there to Aria and ask the AI, I'm having whatever the problem is with this one person, what should I do about it? And have AI basically give him the tools necessary to go take care of this person that he's supervising, right? And it's not just a tool. I mean, you're talking, again, the top scientists in the world putting this together. Throwing Tony Robbins, throwing, Brene Brown, coaching you now to go talk to this employee to now fix whatever you need fixing or help whatever conflict may be going on between two employees. I said, so now this employee is not coming to you now. What do you charge? What do you think your net worth is as a business owner per hour, right? You've done this a lot, right? To help people figure out what they're worth per hour.
Yeah.
And, we figured out he's probably worth about $350 to $400 an hour of his time, right? To the company. So if you eliminate half your day now at $300-400, how much in one day are you saving? And he was like, oh crap. I'd be literally saving about $3,000 a day.
Yeah.
Right. And that was conservative. We were like this, and that's probably conservative. I said, okay, $3,000 a day, and you're worried about $5,000 more a year. And he was like, sign me up.
Yeah.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So
when you were saying that, I was thinking, if you have your spouse go through it, then you could go to Aria and say, hey, my spouse says this. How do I respond to her or him?
Okay. So disclaimer, we're not going to push this as a dating advice software, but it is funny because my wife actually works with me, and so we actually use it on each other. Like, how do we better communicate with each other?
That's why I'm
in business and whatever. And how can we, who should do what role? Because she's involved in Aptiv now too. This is our what we're doing full time now, and so it's for her, for us, and who should do what role and help. And I did do it though. It's funny. I'll just say how accurate it is. Again, disclaimer. This is not a marital advice software platform. It's for business, but a friend that we know has, was having some problems with, not problems, but, just the dynamics with the family, with the kids, especially the mother and the child it was just really not gelling the way that he was, hoping for. And so we ran it, and I was actually at the Post Malone concert. And the cool thing with this is the mobile version of it looks just like the portal on the website.
Okay.
So I use the phone probably more than I do my computer, but I was on it during Post Malone, and I was like, well, here's the profiles. And I asked Aria, here's this person's the dad, this person's the mom, this person's the child. Tell me about the family dynamics. And I sent it to him, and he was like, I shared it with my wife, and we were both like, this is insane. This is like, wow, probably just saved him 2 years of counseling. Right.
Yeah. Could have saved their marriage.
Probably, but it's really, I wanted his feedback. I said, do you think this is accurate? And he was dead on. Yeah. This is great. He goes, if we would have known this is what I needed to know. And this is all we needed to know. And it said, well, how do they solve their conflicts then? And it said, this is what the mom needs to do. Here's what the child needs to do. And this is the respect, or what they have to do. And so you can use it like that. I'm not going to push it for that, though.
Well, I was just saying it just with Amanda. I mean, we get along really, really well.
You're two peas in a pod, but there's one personal trait that cultural index will not. All the other ones will tell you guys are identical.
Yeah.
This one here, and because you're friends of ours, you allowed us to review it. And there is one personal trait that makes you two tick.
What's that?
Where you're both the yin and the yang and stuff like that. So it's,
what's
a lot
that
of
trait?
a lot of it's very true. I'd have to pull it up, but it was really in some of the intensity, and the pro-social. So there's, and that's where this goes a lot deeper. Aptiv, again, the founder who developed it I love the guy. He's so intelligent, but how it breaks down, you have 4 primary attributes, you have some secondary attributes, and then it does the pairing of how, if you have this one attribute and this attribute based on where they're at, what does that mean? And this is the stuff that the other stuff never tells you. Yeah. And so there's this one click that you guys are so much alike, but there's one thing that you're completely opposite on that allows the sort of yin and yang sort of connection.
Okay. And, I remember when I first did disc, because Amanda's a D, I'm a D.
Yeah, they'll tell you guys are identical.
And they're always like, 2 Ds should not get together. Like, that is gas and fire, gasoline and fire.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about it because Amanda and I had a discussion about something a couple weeks ago, and I just didn't know how to communicate it. And I'm thinking, like, I could actually use this
you could
to communicate with her better, in certain ways. So
Gene and I, we're not only love of my life, we're going on 22 years coming up here. our marriage, I'll say our marriage is one of the healthiest I've ever seen. It doesn't mean we don't have conflict. Doesn't mean we don't have arguments. It doesn't mean my snoring doesn't drive her up the wall and her quirks drive me up the wall and all these different things. But I'm really grateful and blessed for my marriage. But she is a lot like me too. She's very intense. So her Italian side comes out in her, but she's a true visionary, just like I am. We both have high intensity. You look at our charts and we have a lot of similarities, but we have some differences too. And so we leverage those differences as that's the person that balances you out. Right. And I think now understanding each other too. Yeah. Some of the things that I do, she would have probably left me years ago. I would have drove her up the wall, but now she understands me. She's like, I get that. That's Joe, but I know how to respond to that now too. Yeah. I know where I would take it one way. I know what he really means. Right. Because of who he is. And I can do the same thing with her and with some of her innate needs. Right. And traits that she has. And it's like, I get it, and so you stop holding that against the person or you start celebrating it almost, right. So, yeah, but it's funny because not only are we married, but we actually worked together for the last 20 years. Yeah. And the cultural index person that we had when we first did it, he said, there's no way in hell you guys are going to last. This is insane. And he was blown away how well it actually became a great tool for us. Yeah.
So we got a special link for anybody who wants to try it out. Sure. And that's rondilambeth.com/Aptiv. So APTIVE. So just the website, rondilambeth.com/Aptiv, APTIVE.
Yeah.
When they go there, they're going to be able to take a sample test on this.
What's going to happen is they'll be able to take a free assessment, right? So there's a link that's just for your audience alone. That we'll be able to get that. We'll know they're your audience. I will send them the actual profile of them themselves. And with that too, I'll give them a free, they can call and we can set up. I'll give a link to they'll get a response with a calendar link. They can get 15 minutes of my time and we'll explain it to them. We'll go over it with them.
Yeah.
I highly encourage anyone that is either an executive in a business or a decision level maker in a business or that owns a business or is an entrepreneur. Go ahead and give it to your whole leadership team. If they want, they can do it. And if, they take it. If they have the same domain, I'll be able to tell who they are. If not, I can find out once I have a conversation with them. But for free, what we're going to do is allow them to give so if someone's an entrepreneur and they have a board of 10 people or a leadership team of maybe 5 to 10 people, go ahead and have your whole team take it. And we'll put together a 30-minute call and I'll blow your mind. I'll give you enough nuggets that it'll probably change your business moving forward. Absolutely guaranteed for free. And then you can see if there's value there for you to continually use it. But that's how it is. I'm going to let your people see it. So
very cool. Yeah, I'm excited about using that for my clients as well because they're all business owners.
Yeah.
And then having them go on because that will help me communicate with them better in a way that they understand. And then also to help their client, their business, because that's the main reason they're hiring me is to save money on taxes so they can scale their business faster. So it's perfect fit.
What if you can help them scale their business by 40% more efficiency?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Within 3 months.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And then they'll really appreciate me with it. So
yeah.
Joe, it's been so much fun. I could go another couple hours, but I know you have a lot of stuff to do today.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate what you're doing too, because I know it's a passion for you, but it's almost hard not to talk to you about stuff every time I see you, but you blow my mind every time of what you come up with. I hope someday you shared your 2-cent stamp story.
Oh,
okay. So your audience, if you haven't heard this, please DM him and ask him about the 2-cent stamp. That thing blew my mind and I can't stop talking about it. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life, but people could save hundreds of thousands of dollars on postage.
It's saving me $10,000 a month in postage right now through my credit repair company.
Yeah.
And we just did a test. So I have a Pitney Bowes postage machine.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to test it to see if I could stamp 2 cents through my little red stamp through the machine, if it'd work. It's working. I got a message this morning that we mailed something Monday and today is Thursday. So this morning it took 4 days to go across the country with a 2-penny stamp through a postage machine.
Well, you sent me something. We got the next day, maybe 2 days.
Yeah, it was a couple days. But on yours, I put actual 2 1-penny stamps.
Yeah.
So I put 2 cents on it. I wanted to see if it worked through a postage machine because, that's registered under our business through the post office.
Yeah.
And it worked. So we're getting ready to send out over 100 of them to friends and people. To
your wealth of knowledge, and you come up with some of the greatest stuff. And I always check on everything you're telling me, and it validates. And I'm like, this is insane. Why am I not working with Rondi? Like, this is stupid. I mean,
I was at the post office the other day, and when I handed it to her, she goes, "There's only 2 1-cent stamps on there." I said, "I know." She goes, "It's 77, or you need 77 cents more, or something like that." I'm like, "Just mail it the way it is." And so I explained it to her. She goes, she works at the post office. She goes, "I've been here 30 years. I've never heard of this."
So my dad's a numismatist, right? So he deals in like gold and coins and bullion and rare coins and collectibles like stamps. So he's big in stamps and stuff like that. Every time he emails me something, I got all these like a whole poster board of these crazy stamps that are, worth what they stay on them. But to me, the collectors love them. But I told him about this, and he didn't even know about it.
Yeah,
I'm like, "Dad, how do you not know about this?" And he was like, he goes, "I gotta look this up." And he came back. He said, "Crap, it's true."
So what it is when politicians create laws, lawmakers, when they create laws, they generally don't revoke the law, which is why the average American commits 7 felonies a day, because there's things that were felonies 100 years ago or 200 years ago that are no longer. They're just common practice. So in 1863, they created what's called the Pony Express Act, and it allowed the government through the Pony Express could not charge more than 1.5 cents to deliver mail. Well, they never repealed that act. It's still into effect today, but you have to put the zip code in brackets, because the zip code, the zone improvement, I don't remember what the P stands for, zone improvement parcel. So that is part of the United States Postal Service, the zip code. The city and state, back in the Pony Express days, there was no zip code. So that's why if you look at that letter I sent you, the zip code was in brackets.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
And so as long as you put the zip code in brackets, and then there's a little language you put on there notifying the postmaster that it's a federal offense to request more postage. That's why that was written on there.
Yeah.
It is a federal offense under USC, blah, 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 to request more postage. So the Pony Express Act of 1863 said you can't charge more than 1.5 cents for postage. Well, it's still in effect today.
It's crazy.
And so that's how we're mailing letters all over the U.S. for 2 pennies. Versus,
and can you imagine people that mail like tens of thousands of mailers, like there's like real estate agents, right, that mail out stuff like crazy,
Well, that's what we were for our credit repair business. We had 2,000 active clients and we would send on average 10 letters per month per client. So that's 20,000 letters at almost 80 cents a letter.
That's crazy.
$16,000, and now it's a few $100s worth of postage. So
that's awesome. Well, Ron,
anyway,
sorry to diverge you, man, but that was a fun fact I think your audience had to learn.
Yeah,
that I still talk about that one.
Yeah,
but thank you for everything, and thanks for having me on, and hopefully your audience will get something, especially out of the Aptiv, the Psychometrics.
Oh, I can't wait to see how many people come through Aptiv. But again, it's rondilambeth.com/Aptiv, APTIVE. You're going to go on there. You're going to take, this is for business owners and business owners only. So if you're not a business owner, or don't take this. If you're an executive at a business, maybe you're a CEO or COO or CFO of a business, go ahead and take it, right?
Go and take it, because
you don't have to be the business owner in that case if you're an executive.
Yeah, because there's large.
We just don't want employees doing it, because you don't have any power to do anything about it. So, So if you're a business owner or an executive member of a business, go to rondilambeth.com/Aptiv, APTIVE.
Yep.
And then you're going to allow them to take the test for free, schedule a 15-minute phone call with you, and you'll go over that with their entire team.
Yeah.
And it could literally help them make an extra couple $1 million or more, especially if they got 150 employees.
Like I said, if you don't get at least 30 to 40% better efficiency out of your current. So again, just in hiring, you got the cost savings there, or versus even just taking your existing team and your existing leadership and empowering your leadership on how to utilize. Real quick, I thought one thing, there's another feedback in there called 360 feedback loop that you can do internally as leaders.
Oh,
so it has a whole component about for leaders to become better leaders, how to lead better. And so, so the money's invaluable for it.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to have my team go through it and do some more stuff with it. So, Joe, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
See you later.